Welcome to All In with Ali podcast, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I'm so happy you are here. I hope you're having a great day, a great week. I hope you are happy, and I am excited about our topics today. So we have a few of them because we are continuing the Q&A episode that we started a couple of episodes ago. So we kicked this off 2 or 3 episodes ago, and you can go back, and the title is Answering Your Questions, and you can go listen to those first few. And I believe we have about 2 more of these episodes left to go. I'm going to do 5 or 6 questions today, and then we'll wrap it up in a future episode with the rest. But these were all really, really good, so I wanted to answer them all. So I'm going to run through the questions that I'm going to answer today, and then we'll dive into each of them, but I want to give them to you up front so that you know if you want to listen or not. So the first question that we're going to dive into is, can you apply the same principles with building a coaching business for an affiliate marketing business or selling digital products? That's number 1. The second question we're going to dive into today was posed as this: vision, how to manifest. So we're going to dive into that. Third question, she is asking for a breakdown of my typical income, where it comes from, what services and offers does that come from? And then the fourth question is, how long did it take you to grow a following? So she's asking about my following. Fifth question, how to give feedback to contractors and team members that are not hitting the mark. And then the last question that we're going to dive into today is, are reach outs for my network marketing business still appropriate while I build my online business? So I'm going to give my take on that. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's go. Starting with the first question, can you apply the same principles with building a coaching business for affiliate marketing and digital products? So she's saying the principles that I use in my business, because I, for the most part, have a coaching business. Would I say that you can apply the same principles to an affiliate marketing business or a digital product business? And I also sell digital products as well. So it's hard to say a definitive yes or no, because I don't know the exact principles you're talking about. But I was sitting here thinking, okay, like what principles do I apply to my business? Could that be applied to an all affiliate or an all digital marketing business or digital product business? And the principles that I think of when I think of my business, for the most part, the answer is yes. So I'm going to go through what I think those principles are. So I don't know the exact principles this person's referring to, but here's the ones that I'm thinking of. The answer is yes. So when I think about the principles that I apply to build my coaching business online, or mostly coaching business online, I think of getting and holding people's attention, building trust and credibility in a relationship with people watching me. And then I also think about the principles that I apply to selling each offer that I put out into the world. So like principles of launching. So across the board, these are applicable to pretty much any business online. If you are selling anything online, all of these apply. The only ones that may not apply perfectly would be the launching principles, and we'll go deeper into that. So starting with the first, which is like the holy grail of any business online, no matter whether it's network marketing, coaching, maybe you have a brick and mortar that you're now also marketing online, affiliate marketing, digital products, digital services. The biggest principle that applies to all of these types of businesses is, if you have their attention, you can have their sale. That's marketing 101. If you have their attention, you can have their sale. I've coined this term. This is my term. And I know this because I've experienced this, and I've seen this play out all the time. And you can have, and I've worked with so many women who have all of the credentials, all of the experience, the most ingenious of ideas, everything. They have everything, but they cannot make a freaking dollar online. Why? Because they don't know how to market themselves, because they don't want to put in the energy of letting people know what is available for them and why they should care. They don't know how to hold the attention. They know how to provide the service. They know how to get all their ducks in a row behind them and have everything ready to go. Again, the credentials, the branding, the everything. But when it comes to putting out content, no matter what that looks like, doesn't have to be reels, doesn't have to be, it could be anything. But when it comes to put out content that is going to hold not just anyone's attention, but the right people's attention, they cannot do it. They don't want to do it. They don't want to put in the time. That's just, they miss the mark. Therefore, they miss the mark with their sales. This has to be number one. It just has to. You can have the best product in the world, everything in place. But if the right people are not watching you online, then how are they going to buy from you? How are they going to be paying attention long enough to build trust with you? So that would be the second piece of this. Yes, in order to have their sale, you have to have their attention, but you also, or they also have to believe in what you're saying. There has to be a level of trust there. Now, you can build trust a lot of different ways. You can build trust with social proof, where you have an audience and you have a level of reputation and testimonials where people can base their trust with you off of somebody else's and very quickly make a buying decision, which is great. But if you don't have that in place, then you have to build that trust with the only other thing that can buy that trust, and that is time and being a person of integrity. And allowing that to translate across your platforms. So you have to be able to hold the right people's attention long enough to build this trust. And how you build that trust is, again, your integrity, and also making sure that your brand is putting out the vibe that if you stand behind something, if you stand behind a product, a service, another person's product, a brand, it's not because you just want to make money, but it's because you actually believe in that thing, right? If I sell anything to you, first and foremost, it's because I know it's going to help you. I know this is something that somebody out there needs, and I believe in it. And I fully believe that it's good and that it's going to serve you. This will build trust over time. So these are, those are the two biggest foundational principles for all online business across the board, no matter what kind of business that is. Those are the biggies. And then as far as selling, as far as like, okay, you have this, maybe this very specific brand deal or a digital product or service or whatever it is that you sell. Now we have to have a way to sell them. And there are selling or launching principles that I would also say are very present. So for example, if you're selling something to an audience, you want to talk about it at a certain level of frequency. Just as humans in our attention spans, especially lately, we have to hear the same message again and again and again, upwards of 7, 8, 9 times before it finally seeps into our conscious that we want this thing. So, with launching, this is why you want to talk about something multiple times, multiple days in a row in different ways from different angles. You want to make sure that you're speaking about whatever it is that you're selling from the angle that's going to align and appeal to your ideal client for that very specific thing. You want to make it easy for them to buy. You want to educate them, let them know what to expect, let them know, lead with the transformation. All of these principles would apply to any business. Now, the logistics of launching, that's where it's going to look a little different, right? So like for me, when I'm selling something, let's say I'm, right now, as I'm talking about this, we're selling Time Collapse again. So I'm going to, for the next week and a half or so, I will send out a series of emails talking, warming people up and giving them the call to action to buy Time Collapse and get instant access to Time Collapse. I'll be putting out stories. I'll be making posts, in whatever way makes sense. That's how I'll be selling it for a specific period of time. If you're an affiliate marketer and you're pushing somebody else's thing, this is also going to look very similar. You're going to send out emails, you're going to make posts, you're going to warm up your client or your audience member to whatever thing it is that you're an affiliate for, with the call to action for them to buy whatever this thing is. Digital product, I would say the same thing. I think the only type of business that's coming to mind that this would look different for is network marketers who sell products. You can use this type of launch system where you choose a product or a bundle of products and you push it. You pick a week or 2 weeks and you push that specific bundle every single day to see how many you can sell in a specific period of time. I think that could work really well, but a lot of network marketers do it differently. They I think a smart way to do network marketing or sell as a network marketer nowadays is like an influencer, so, using your products as a network marketer, just like you would in real life. So that's how an influencer sells, or an influencer who knows what they're doing. They're going to show you how they use the product or how they use the service. And then they're going to say, hey, if you want this too, here's the link, here's a discount code, here's whatever. Same thing with affiliate marketing, depending on what the thing is. But I think that's one of the smartest ways as a network marketer to sell right now. So that right there would change a little bit how I personally would sell, like the principles of launching that I would use as a business owner who I launch my own services as a quote coach. So for the most part, yes, you can apply the same principles. Okay. Moving on to question number 2. This question is vision, how to manifest. So everybody has their own take on manifesting. And also I think it's important to know that like who really knows, right? Like who really can speak on this. So I'm going to speak from my experience, from what I've learned, what resonates most with me from what I've learned, because I've always had an interest in, I'm not going to say manifesting, because manifesting can sound so trendy and fleeting. And I've had an interest in energy and all things energy and the unseen and the mystical for most of my life. So I've always, not always, but for a very long time, I've had an interest and I've been learning about these things, especially like the scientific side of it and how it actually works on a scientific end. And yeah, so this would be just from my experience, from what I've learned, and also what I've experienced just as a human. So for me, it's all about being aligned with the frequency of the thing that you want. So if you think of all things have energy, all things give off a frequency, including bigger things like ideas, like wealth, right? There's like if you think of the frequency and the energy of wealth versus the frequency and energy of poverty, you can feel how different these two things are. They both give off a very different energy. They're both at a very different frequency. So if you want to be more aligned with wealth, then you need to be more aligned with the frequency of wealth. And from my understanding, what that looks like is you, on one level, feel wealthy as often as you can. And on another level, we could call it like acting as if, right? You make decisions and think thoughts that are aligned with that of a person with wealth. The more that you do this, the more that you are aligning to the frequency of wealth, the more that you are becoming wealthy. So we want to be aligned with the frequency of the thing that you want versus lack of the thing that we want. So if we're constantly like, I want this thing, but I don't have it. And I'm going to focus. I'm going to focus on this thing every day. I'm going to say affirmations for this thing. And I'm going to try really hard to focus on it. And, you're constantly thinking about it. And you're constantly noticing when you don't do this, you can feel how that's more of like, you're almost focused on lack of it in a way. Because it's like, if you had that thing, you wouldn't have to do all those things. This was a breakthrough for me. Like if I had the level of revenue, let's say, the 50K months, for example, or like consistent 20K months or whatever thing that I used to like obsess over in the past. I would like do all these affirmations, like I make 20K months, I make 20K months, I make 20K months. And what would I do if I was doing that? And gosh, okay, I got like this many clients this month, but we're this much off from the goal. Okay, I only need to manifest $15,000 more dollars. It was like the energy of it was like everything that I was doing was from the noticing that the thing wasn't there. That's why I was doing the affirmations. That's why I was trying to manifest an extra 15K, versus like, what would I be doing if I just had that level of revenue? I wouldn't be doing affirmations on, I make X amount per month, I just wouldn't. I'd be focused on other things. I'd be focused on what would be my next level of growth. At that level, what would be the things that I'd be focused on that level? I'd probably be growing a team. I'd probably be making other investments or investing in different parts of my business or offering different offers or working with a different caliber of client. So when you start thinking at that level of like, okay, this is the thing that I want, what would I be doing? What are the things that I would likely be focusing on or thinking, or how would I feel each day, right? So it's all about like focus for number one. You want to focus on what it is that you want, meaning like focused on seeing examples of that around you. So if your goal is to be wealthy and to create more wealth in your life, focusing on, or, let's just say abundance, focusing on like what abundance is around you right now. What are examples of that right now? It may not be like at the level that you want just yet, but there's always examples of the thing that you want around you now. So if you're wanting to manifest love or a partner, maybe you have a group of friends that are like, your quote soulmate friends, and you have so much love, or you have like so much love with your family, that unconditional love that you want with a partner. You can see that in other relationships in your life. So focusing and having gratitude for that is going to be key in you attracting more of that in. Okay. So like attracts like, the energy that you put out. So the reason why your focus is so important is because what you focus on is going to put you at a certain energy, it's going to put you at a certain frequency, which means that you emit a certain energy, and your energy is going to attract in like energy. So if you want to manifest love and a partner, but you're constantly focused on the lack of that and how lonely you feel and how all of your other partners sucked and how men or women or, whoever you're attracted to can't be trusted and nobody's available. Like imagine thinking that constantly. What's going to be your frequency when it comes to love? It's not going to be very high, right? So you're going to be putting out this energy of lack, of not what you want. So you're going to attract in more of what you're putting out. Versus if you focus on, okay, what love do I have here? What are examples? Even if it's just like a pet or, just the things, maybe it's hobbies in your life. I don't know. But you focus on like the abundance of love there, and you just have so much gratitude. And gratitude is the gateway, the gasoline to the fire, the fast tracker, the hack, the cheat code to everything that you want to manifest is gratitude. You feel grateful for that thing or like the energy of that thing now, you're going to attract more of that. When you feel grateful for something, and I want you to feel into that. Like I want you to like close your eyes right now and think of something that you are so grateful for. And I want you to feel that feeling in your body. Okay. So like when I close my eyes and I think of my kids and I just think of those boys in my mind, the feeling that I have in my chest, it feels like this gratitude when it's like activated in my body. It feels like I can feel the energy in my body. It feels like little tiny butterflies in my chest and my stomach, and it feels good, right? And to me, that's my energy. That's my frequency increasing and raising because of that gratitude. So anything that you want to create in your life and manifest, have gratitude for that now. Feel the feelings of that now in whatever way that you can, in whatever way makes sense. And this is going to look different for everybody, but how can you tap in to that now and feel that as often as possible? And then the way that I kind of close the gap for myself, or I have closed the gap, is again, making decisions from that place. So for example, when I was making consistent 20K months and I desperately wanted to be at 50K plus months, but like my next goal was 50K. And for some reason, I just couldn't break out of the 20K months. I felt very stuck there. I realized that what I was doing was I was constantly in lack from that. Instead of having gratitude for the business that I built that was creating this consistent revenue in my business, it was constantly the thought of I'm stuck. I can't increase it anymore. I felt like I was stagnant. I felt like I was not going anywhere. That in my mind and my thinking and my thoughts were always aligned with feelings of being stuck and stagnant at 20K months. And when I caught this, I was able to switch the energy from that to gratitude and realizing like I'm so freaking blessed that I have figured out how to create consistent money at that level. There was a time where I couldn't fathom what it would be like making that much money every single month. And now it's just my norm. Now I wake up and I make that, that's my absolute, at the time, it was like my energetic minimum was that. And realigning myself to the gratitude and being thankful for that and thankful for the clients that were currently there versus the opposite was like, yeah, they're there, but like, I need more, constantly looking for more, shifting to being so grateful for the people that were there, that were currently saying yes to me and that had been saying yes to me. And then also asking myself, okay, if I was at 50K months, like consistent 50K months, how would I be acting then versus now? Like, what would the differences be? Would I be doing what, if there was any kind of difference in the decisions I'd be making, the things I'd be focusing on, the things I'd be putting out into the world, the price points, what would that look like? So one of the things I knew, if I was making consistent 50K months, I knew I would have some sort of support, some sort of team. And up until that point, I had played around with some VAs, but really hadn't mastered really getting support for myself and delegating. And I knew that was a missing piece. So it was around that time that I seriously started to look for consistent support in my business. And a few months later, that's when I found and I hired Sarah. Right. So that's just one example of like, okay, there's the difference, the difference of me at this level and the difference of me at this level. That would be huge for you. So whatever it is that you're wanting to create, write down what would you be doing differently at that level than you're doing right now, because you may not be able to do it all instantly right now for time reasons or money reasons, but you can start putting the ball into motion. You can start setting that intention and manifesting that thing or whatever that is into your life now. You're focused on these higher level things than versus where you're at. So just by doing that, also all of these things are helping you to shift more to the frequency of what it is that you want to call into your life. So that is my take on manifesting. Okay, number 3. What is a breakdown of my typical income? Where does it come from? What services and offers? So I was going to pull up my spreadsheet. Sarah made me a stunning spreadsheet with these things broken down that we've started to go over, because my big goal this year, as if you've been listening for a while, my big goal this year is scaling, and I scaled a little too late, but that's okay. So we're just in like the scaling game right now, but I didn't feel like pulling up the spreadsheet, if I'm being fully honest with you. So I'm just going to tell you what it is, but I don't have the exact numbers, but I can give you a pretty good picture of it. So one thing that I'm celebrating right now is we have consistent 30K coming in every month that is recurring revenue, which I'm so damn proud of. And I'm so proud of this because if you've heard me tell this story, last year we experienced all of this momentum, all of this growth. Essentially the peak of my business or one of the peaks of my business was last summer. And then in the fall, after I had a baby and lost my mom, we lost all of this momentum. And because I wasn't performing, because I needed to heal and I needed to grieve and I needed to take some time off, my business also stopped performing because I did not scale soon enough. That scaling was my 2023 goal, and it was just too late in the game. And that was my bad. That was a big mistake that I made, and I own it. And now we are fixing it. So at the end of last year, we knew and to be fair to myself, last year we had to put a lot of things in place to get to where we are right now. So I knew that I wanted to launch a membership, but I knew that I wanted to go ahead and have something in this membership in order to sell it. So last year I set the stage for that by creating all of the offers. I mean, we created a new offer or two every single month almost last year. We created so many new offers, and trainings and courses so that we could have this membership. So late last year, we launched the All-In membership, and that we still have that now. It's ongoing now. You can join at any time, and I highly recommend it. So that brings in, I think, around somewhere between 10 and 15K per month. The membership brings in with recurring revenue. And then the rest of that, like 99% of the rest of that. So let's say the membership brings in 10K, then 20K-ish comes from my mastermind. So I have a rolling mastermind where most of the women in there pay month to month. And from those payments, they have either a 6 or 12-month contract with me. And those payments make up the rest of my monthly recurring revenue, which has us right now at 30K per month. There are a few other things that we have payment plans and a few payments that come in from that, but not as significant as these two offers. So my goal is to continue growing the mastermind. I mean, the mastermind is my highest level of support right now. That's where I don't have any private clients by design. I give all of my energy to my mastermind. So besides like trainings and stuff, and what I mean by that is like personalized support, high touch energy goes to my mastermind members. And we have a cap on that. So once we get to 15 members, then it's shut down or it's closed until we're ready for new members to come in. So I think we have a few spots open for that. So we could grow that with a few more members. So if you're interested in the mastermind, you can always reach out and ask about that. And you can join at any time. So we have that. But the membership, we can add as many people as possible. That's fully scaled. So my big goal is to get as many people in that membership as possible to continue to grow this recurring income, so that if I want to take off time in my business, or if I need to, or if anything happens, I'm not starting from zero every single month. So last year I was starting at zero pretty much every single month. I want you to imagine that. Well, a lot of you're experiencing that. And there's a season for that in business, but then it comes to a point where it's time to mature, and you can make that decision at any time. You don't have to, please don't wait as long as I did. That was a rookie mistake that I've owned and I've talked about extensively. So, okay, so we have 30K. And what's cool about that, and something I'm really proud of when we're talking about that recurring income, is it didn't take long when you really think about it to get to that point. I launched the membership. I soft launched the membership and the mastermind in 2022, toward the end of 2022. But we hard launched both of those in the beginning of this year, like really put effort into it. And now we're 4 months into the year, and we have $30,000 recurring every month because of that focus. So this is very possible for all of our businesses. Of course, it's going to look different for everybody because everybody has a different level of audience and, whatever, it's all going to, there are a lot of different factors that play into this, but you can do this at some level for sure. And the earlier you can start to at least lay the groundwork and set the vision for what you want this to look like so that you can start moving toward it, the better. because you can launch a membership without anything in it, and people do all the time. That's fine. There's many different things you can include in membership. But for me, I wanted it to be this thing that it was like, when you join, you get instant access to all of these programs. And we have this huge library of programs that if you join the membership right now, you get instant access to, in addition to coaching each month. And anything new that I put out, because it's a year-long commitment. So you also get anything new that I put out while you're in the membership. So I knew that I wanted it to be that kind of no-brainer vibe. So I needed to start creating these programs and getting these things in the bank, so to speak, last year. And that's what we did. Now, so that's $30K per month. Now, anything else that comes in is from whatever I launch within the month. So I will typically always do some sort of lower ticket offer, like a masterclass or like some sort of lower ticket something that will lead into a higher ticket something. So I'll do that every single month, and that can make up anywhere between 10K to 50K plus extra, just depending on what the offer is, depending on the energy that I put behind it. There are a lot of different factors that go into how an offer performs. So it really just depends, but anything extra is from what I live launch in whatever month we're talking about, and whatever offers I put out. So this year, I'm really proud of myself because I'm in a scaling stage. So right now I'm kind of taking a little bit of hit in my revenue than what I was doing this time last year, because last year I was a freaking maniac when it came to launching. I was creating all new things. I was constantly taking on one-on-one clients, and the mastermind was different at the time. So we were bringing in a lot of new people into the mastermind, plus these brand new programs. I mean, I was launching multiple things every single month, and it was great for the season. Now I'm focused, and my intention is to sell less of my time. So now the goal in the game is to funnel everybody into either the membership or whatever I'm launching right now, or the mastermind, depending on where you fall and what makes sense. It used to be where I would get to the end of the month and be like, okay, I want to hit this goal. So what can I sell? And, I know that I can sell my time really easily because I'm lucky to have an audience of people who want my time, especially my one-on-one time. But I'm not interested in selling that right now. That's just not for sale, because I understand the value of it. And I understand that if I focus on the podcast and putting out good content and loving on my mastermind members and putting energy and focus into scaled offers, those things will continue to grow. So that's what I'm doing right now. There was another thing and then another thing that I've been building up to that finally is about to start happening is some recurring revenue from the podcast. So up until now, I've been sponsoring my own podcast with my own offers. And you guys hear this, right? I'll run my own ads, or I'll say, hey, this is what we have going on right now. If you want in, let me know, go to the show notes, whatever. I'll talk about my own stuff. And that's kind of really your only option until you get a certain level of traffic to the podcast, just in order to get brand deals, in order to be able to run ads, you need a certain level of traffic. depending on who you work with. So right now I'm finally at a level where it makes sense to start running some outside ads and getting some recurring income from the podcast as well. So I'm really excited about that because it's not going to look too crazy yet, but the idea is we start those now, and that kind of starts to build each month with the more traffic that we get and the more growth on the track that we're seeing right now. What it will start to look like, it'll look right now like maybe $1,000 or $2,000 extra dollars a month, which is great because that will pay for the podcast. And then it'll grow from there. And it can get crazy. It can get real sexy eventually. So I'm excited about that. But that, as of right now, is where all of my business revenue comes from, all of my own stuff, and then eventually ads from the podcast, which we're starting to get going right now. We're also going to be doing subscriptions too. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but I think what that will look like is if you want to pay, I don't know what it is, like $4 or $5 a month, you get my episodes a day or two early. And then I think you get access to exclusive content. We have to figure out exactly what that looks like, but that also is coming, and that will also add to podcast revenue. Okay, moving on to the next question. How long did it take for you to grow a following? So I've been growing this business and this following, because when I started this business is when I started this Instagram account, or like really started focusing on this Instagram account, the one that I have now at Allie I. Reeves, in 2018. So however many years, 5 years now. Now, I will say that it was a different time then. So remember when my OGs in business will remember this, like online business, but like a couple of years ago, the big thing was just to hit 10K. If you had 10,000 followers, that means that you got to swipe up. That means that you got to run ads, or, you just got access to these different things. So that was the game. The game was to grow to 10,000 followers and beyond. And also, my business at the time, what I helped people do was to grow their social media following. I helped people make money online, but through social media. So like by growing their following, by growing their engagement, that was what I mostly helped people focus on and do in the beginning half of my business, because that's all that I knew how to teach. That's the only thing that I understood. So at the time, it was different because everybody, again, the game was growth. That's all people wanted, was to grow as fast as freaking possible. Like your worth online, the currency was followers. This is before people understood really the algorithm, or really cared to understand the algorithm and understood the value of engagement over followers. Because again, Instagram incentivized you at the time with your followers. So all of that to say, I have done everything in the sun to grow followers in the name of selfishness for myself, but also to test things out and then teach what I learned to my audience at the time. So I used to have a program called Influence Income Formula, and I taught you how to grow your business on social media with 4 modules: through your brand, through your engagement, content, and growth. Shoot, gosh, it's really been that long. I really cannot remember. But one of those modules was growing your audience. That's how important it was. So I in that whole module, I was like, okay, here are all the ways that you can grow your audience. And I would teach everything from follow, unfollow to hiring a growth service. There was a season where hiring growth services was like the thing to do, and everybody did it, or most people did it, to running ads, to everything. So I had to test out all of these things. I was happy to do so because it was growing my audience. And one of those things was hiring growth services at the time. So what this looked like is they had all of these businesses. It's funny, I'm talking about this like this was 20 years ago when it was like 3, but they had all these services that you could hire and they were reputable. But it was still kind of hush hush because Instagram didn't want you to do this. But there were services out there, and I'm sure they're still out. I know they are. I know they're still out there. Where you could hire them and they got access to your Instagram account, which please never give anybody access to your Instagram account unless you know who they are. But they had access to your Instagram account, and there were a lot of them that would do things. I mean, they would all have their own strategy, I guess, but I would only hire ones that would do clean strategies. Like I never would buy followers. I just knew better against that. Like you always wanted to play with real people. So the growth services that I worked with were ones that would do follow, unfollow for you. So they would go and engage, like lightly engage. Actually, I don't think I wanted them to engage on my behalf because I was like, you could smell that from a mile away. And I knew that. So I think I would just hire them. And they would just do follow and follow. So they would go and follow a bunch of accounts that fit the description of my ideal client. And after a week or two, once they would follow me, they would unfollow. I would unfollow that person so that I wasn't following a billion different people. And this grew my account a lot. Like this freaking worked. And then the algorithm changed. Then everything changed. And it got to the point, like I always understood the algorithm and how it worked, but there was a time where it just shifted. And Instagram very much took seriously the difference between your follower count and your level of engagement. So this was bad news for all of us who did this, who like hired growth services, because while our follower count grew, our engagement didn't grow at the same rate. Because you have to think, like, people that engage with you, it's because they've been engaging with you, because they've known you for a while, because they're used to seeing your stuff. They feel comfortable with you. They feel comfortable commenting on your stuff or engaging with your stories. Somebody who's new to following you probably isn't quite there yet. So if you grew too fast, and this still stands today, so if you're thinking about doing something shady to get more followers, don't. Because if you grow too fast and your engagement rate stays the same, then what's going to happen is Instagram sees that discrepancy as a negative against you. They see that as, okay, your engagement isn't growing. It's actually, compared to your followers, it's actually dropped. That ratio is actually bigger now. So that means that your content must not be very good. So that means that Instagram actually shows your followers less of your content, which is going to continue to drop your engagement. So all of that to say, it took me a while to grow my following. And a lot of it now, and I would say like first 2 years was like follow and follow and hiring people to like get me in front of the right people. And then after that, I grew a big bulk of followers from Reels. Because in the beginning, when Reels were new, I was one of those first crazies to jump on that bandwagon and like really embrace Reels, and grew a ton because it was really easy to grow from them. And then now I don't do anything to grow except for put out the best content that I possibly can and grow from word of mouth, because that's how I want to grow. All of that to say, if I could go back in time and do anything differently, I would grow slower. I don't regret hiring growth services or doing it that way just because, again, it was just the thing to do and I learned so much from it. But I mean, I don't think a quarter of my audience even sees my content. Like my engagement's pretty good, especially some days, but not as good as it could be because of growing too fast. And then not, I guess, like just not building a relationship or, people follow you. And if they never see your stuff again, they can't engage with you, So I've said this before to clients, like if I could go back and delete, if I could right now go and delete half of my followers, I absolutely would. I just don't know which followers to delete. I wish there was a way to see which followers never see or interact with your stuff because I would just delete them like an email list. I would gladly go down to 10, 15K, even less. I don't care. As long as I can add links. I would gladly, if that meant that people that actually want to see my stuff and engage with me were the ones seeing my stuff and engaging with me versus having all these people that forgot I'm here, So long story short, quality over quantity all day, every day. You live and learn. And there's that. Okay, 2 more, and then we're going to wrap it up. How to give feedback to contractors and or team members that are not hitting the mark. This is huge and it's so difficult, especially if you aren't used to doing this or if you're the type of person who doesn't love or you try and avoid conflict. So there are some people that it's just the nature of who they are. If you're doing something they don't like or that isn't at par with their standards, they're going to tell you. For me, it depends. I kind of straddle the line between wanting to avoid the difficult conversation and wanting to be direct. And I'm working really, really hard on this. And this is one of those things when I think of the level business owner that I want to be, right? Like if we think about what I'm manifesting a multi-7-figure business. And when I think of how she moves and she operates, she has a business that is bigger than mine. Thus, she has a team that fully supports her. And if a team member missteps or does something that doesn't make sense with the business, it behooves that version of me and my business to be very clear and honest about it because we've got bigger fish to fry, right? We've got other things in the business that need focus versus tap dancing around somebody's feelings. Not to say that we can't say things with love and with kindness and give grace anytime that it makes sense. So how I do this myself is number one, honesty, even if it's difficult. And the way that I catch myself too, there's been a few times where, because I use several different contractors for many different things. I have Sarah who is my main chick. She does the most for the business in terms of support. But then I have contractors. I have, contractors that make content for the podcast. I have Kate and Philip who edit the podcast. I have now a copywriter that I'm working with for emails. I have many different contractors. So what I've noticed would happen in the past is, let's say somebody does something that doesn't hit the mark or isn't the standard that I would do it. In the past, or like the tendency that I typically will lean toward is I would, instead of saying it, because a lot of times I feel like my standards are so high. And it's like, okay, I'll kind of like bend my standards and go back and fix it for them. Go back and just like, okay, I'll edit the email. Okay. I didn't like how that thing looked in the email, but like I can just go in and fix it, or like I'll just fix it for next time because part of me will feel guilty or like, yeah, like guilty for focusing or saying something about something that's seemingly small. But if it's a standard, it's a standard, period. So let me give you an example. I'm working with a copywriter and she's doing an awesome job. And she sent an email for me a couple of weeks ago. And the way that this works is she like writes the copy for me. I go in, put my spin on it, my language, what I would actually say, edit it. And then she will then go into my CRM, which is Kajabi, and she will get it ready to go and send it out for me. So she sent an email out for me. And at the bottom was a bright pink button. Okay. None of my colors are pink on purpose. I don't like pink. Never have. It's just, I don't like pink. And it's not on par with the brand. Now, I knew when I saw this at first, I was like, wait, why would she do pink? And then I was like, oh, because it stands out from the rest of the email, right? We're promoting this thing. That's the button for people to take action on the thing. And it's this bright, bold pink. And so like, I knew why she did this and I liked why she did it. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have thought to do that. I haven't done that ever. I like that she was emboldened to take a risk and try something new without running it by me. I like that. I like that initiative. But I don't like pink, right? So there was a part of me that was like, okay, well, just don't say anything, like who cares? I like that she did it. It doesn't matter the color, like don't make it into a thing or just don't even say anything. But I don't like it, right? It's not me. It's not the brand. So what I did was I sent her a message and I said, hey, I saw that you did this bright pink button. I know, like, I think the reason why you did it is because you wanted it to stand out. And I love that you did that. I think that's brilliant. That's something that I have not been doing. And I want to continue to do that. And can we please use literally any other color but pink? I don't fucks with pink. It's not my thing. What about like a bright lime green? Because we actually use that in the brand, or, I'm open to any other ideas. And she was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you for telling me. I totally get it. But that's an example of something that in the past, I probably would have written off and been like, okay, you're just being too picky. Like you just need to get over it or go fix it yourself or whatever. But these things add up over time. So I think number one, being so honest with how you honestly feel, because what you don't want is like these little tiny things that you never speak up about to build this mountain of resentment toward this person. And then you blow up over something little that doesn't make any sense. And it comes totally out of left field from your contractor's perspective. Like that could happen very easily if you just continue to eat your words and not be honest. So I would say anything like to be clear is to be kind. So to be clear on here's my standard, here's what I expect for this specific thing. And then I think it's a really cool idea. Maybe in the first weeks or months that you work with this person, have a stand-in meeting that's meant to critique their work so that you guys can get on the same page, like to make sure that can be part of your onboarding process where it's like, hey, for the first few weeks, we're going to meet this amount of time to go over what you're doing, where I can give you honest feedback so that you know what you're doing that I love and what you're doing that I would like to be tweaked. And I promise you, and this is what's helped me a lot, your contractor, employee, team member, whoever it is, wants to know this. They want to appease you. They want to please you. They want you to be happy. But if you aren't being honest with them, they can't make you happy. So you can't be mad at yourself if you keep this feedback to yourself. And the last thing I'll say is, and it's a no-brainer, but just like, there's ways to give feedback that's kind and clear. I love to to start with like, hey, here's what you're doing that I really love. Here are what I see as your strengths. And then here's something that I would love to shift, or something that needs to be fixed, and being super clear on that and seeing where you guys can meet in the middle. And then the last question that we're going to cover today is, are reach outs for my network marketing business still appropriate while I build my online presence? So I am not in network marketing, but like we've covered earlier in the episode, a lot of our principles with growing our brand and business online are applicable to even network marketing, or especially network marketing. And I've worked with a lot of network marketers over my career, and I continue to do so because, again, these principles are applicable across the board. So I don't know how you mean reach outs, because reach outs can look different. But if you mean reach outs like, okay, you have this business and you are going to, you're playing that numbers game that a lot of network marketing companies want you to play, which is like, okay, you want X amount of responses, so you need to send X amount of messages. You want 10 new sales this month, so you need to send out 100 reach outs to friends, family, audience, cold audience, right? To me, it totally depends. It fully depends on the strategy of how you're going about this and why. If you're starting a business and you want to reach out to people to let people know about your business, to me, this makes sense if it is a warm market. If these are people that you actually talk to, or that you know would be a good fit for this thing. So for example, when I started the business that I have today, I knew maybe a handful of people that I knew at some point would probably want to hire me. So it made sense for me to reach out to them and say, hey, I know that you have a business and you utilize social media for your business. This is back when I was focusing on social media. I want to let you know that I just branched off and started my own business. I don't manage social media for other brands anymore. Now I consult and I teach it. So just so you know, if you ever have any questions or need support with your business, this is what I do. I'd be happy to support you. This makes sense to send it out. But did I send this out to every person in my family? No. Every person I went to high school with? No. Every person on my friends list, whether I've ever spoken to them or not? No. That does not feel good to me. That does not make sense to me. I don't like that energy. Now I realize my business is different. So I have and had at the time a business that wasn't applicable to every single person. It was not everybody had a business that needed the support that I could give them. And you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, but I have this product that everybody and their mom can use. But still, I think this is what gave network marketing a bad name, because of all of these like really funky copy and pasted messages. So I just think it's all about the energy of it and the strategy behind it. So I think let's say you start this new business and you're excited about it. Go tell people, but only if it makes sense. Like if you would tell them that you were, I don't want to say pregnant. That's not a good example. But let's say if you've had a conversation with them in the past 6 months, fine, let them know. Because it is exciting. You start a new business, let them know, hey, I started this new business. I'm so excited. This is what I sell. If you ever have any questions or need anything as it relates to this, I'm your person. Cool. But if you haven't talked to somebody in 6 freaking months and they wouldn't know anything about you unless they just happen to catch it on like your public feed, do not send them a message. I don't agree with that. I think it's icky. Same thing with products. So let's say your business is launching a new product and you want everybody to know about it. Send a message to the people that it makes sense, right? Like you might have some people that have said in the past, like, gosh, I wish I had this specific thing. And you now can go to them and say, hey, remember when we had that conversation about you wishing they had that specific thing? Now here's a specific thing. Here's a link. Let me know if you have any questions. That makes sense. But if you guys have never had a conversation before, don't go copy and paste in a bunch of messages. This is in the energy of lack. This is in the energy of ick, in my personal opinion. Now, there are a lot of people out there who have grown very lucrative, successful businesses from reach outs, and that's great. I love that for you. And that's the thing about strategy. If you feel good about your strategy, if you really, really feel good about it, it's probably going to work for you. But if you don't, if it feels icky to you, or just not in line with what you actually want to do, even if you don't know the thing that you want to do yet, then it's probably not going to work for you. And there's a reason why you feel icky about it, because there are other options out there for you. So the way that I do this in my own business and the way that I teach this is you become the one to watch. You hold their attention. Now you can have their sale. You build trust and credibility with them. So they're watching you. So whenever you talk about the product or the new thing or the new whatever, they're already watching you. They already trust you. So if they are in the market for the thing that you're selling, they're going to want to buy from you. That's how that works. That's how I've built my business. And that's how I teach other women to do the same. Now, if I ever create an offer, let's say I'm creating, a mastermind or something that is only available for X amount of people, and I already know in my mind a handful of women who have expressed interest and or would be perfect fits for this offer. And I've actually talked to them before, we have a rapport. Would I send them a message and let them know, hey, I have this thing. I thought of you. This is based on what we've done in the past or based on, what we've talked about. This is right up your alley. If you still want to get from this to this, this is for you. Would I do that? 1,000,000%. Have I done that? On very few occasions, because on those occasions, it felt good to do that. Otherwise, I'm a big fan of attraction marketing. Always have been. And that's how I built my business. That just feels best for me. It's never felt good for me to go out and push myself on other people. But that's just me. So I think you get clear on what feels good for you and then apply the strategy or the principles that I outlined in the beginning. Like, okay, send the message, send the reach out. But if you have never spoken to this person, or, just use your common sense with it. But I would say, even if your whole company, even if it's an upline that you trust that's saying, hey, do this thing, if it doesn't feel good in your body, trust that, because there are other ways to go about it that can be probably more successful because you actually feel aligned with it versus doing or playing the numbers game just because somebody else ahead of you has done that in the past, back when it used to actually work. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So that is all that we have today. We have, I think, we have 5 more questions from the thread that we'll do next time. I'm going to tell you those questions so you can be looking forward to the next episode. So these questions are, if I have 150 followers with 20-ish story views, how do I apply your 20K framework? I have lots of ideas on that. The next question, first steps if you want to restart your business from scratch. That's a juicy question. Third one, how do you make sure you have the time you need to make money? And then I think this was a second question to that. Do you have to have childcare? Fourth question, what are my morning meditation suggestions and ways that I would suggest getting back into your flow? And then the last question is, I work my ass off, but I don't know what to sell. What is your advice? So we will be diving into these in the next episode. besides, well, this Thursday, we have another interview, but my next solo episode, we'll be covering those. So I look forward to you catching that as well. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Please share this in your stories if this was helpful for you. Drop us a 5-star review in iTunes. That is super, super helps. Oh, and if you want to know what's going on right now, in terms of what I have to offer for you, I have a few more spots in the mastermind. If you are ready to create your multi-6-figure business, and you are super focused and ready to go all in on that, we have a couple spots in the mastermind called Muse Mastermind. We have the all-in membership, which gives you access to every single one of my programs and masterclasses instantly, plus monthly hot seat coaching to get personalized support from me. And then anything that I put out over the year that you are in the membership, you get instantly as well. So that's a membership. And then currently we are launching or relaunching Time Collapse, which is one of my signature programs on how to magnetize your future dream clients and results faster. That's available. I'll put the link for that in the show notes as well. And if you ever have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram at Alia Reeves. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Bye.